Number 5 on this list is La Madremonte. According to myths and legends of Colombia, La Madremonte is a legend in which a woman who wears moss, leaves, and a green hat that conceals her face. She lives in the dense jungle and supposedly bathes in rivers, causing flooding and heavy storms. Madremonte haunts those who steals other people's land and casts plagues on cattle owners who ignore boundaries and take advantage of others. She also dislikes unfaithful spouses, vagabonds, and general mischief makers and punishes them by placing insurmountable obstacles in their path when they walk through the jungle. They eventually fall asleep with exhaustion and do not wake for hours. I think what's especially dangerous about this demon is her ability to control the weather the way that she does. It's said that even if you happen to be walking throughout the jungle or forested areas and you happen to get close to where she lives, then she'll use her powers to change the weather and make it extremely dangerous for you. This has caused some people to die before and wrecked even people's homes. For the most part, she'll target people who have wronged somebody else before, and even though this isn't right, it at least means that you can protect yourself by not wronging somebody else. However, to just be walking and accidentally run into her home and then get swept up in a horrible lightning storm definitely isn't cool. Be very careful of this demon witch in the woods if you happen to be around the area. Number 4 on this list is El Chupacabra. One of the most famous urban legends in the area, El Chupacabra is probably one that you've heard of before. Now, this demonic creature is most commonly associated with Puerto Rico. It has, as time gone on, been spotted more and more frequently in parts of South America though, like Chile. Wikipedia says, the Chupacabra or Chupacabras, literally goatsucker from Spanish, chupa to suck and cabras goats, is a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas, with its first purported sightings reported in Puerto Rico in 1995. The name comes from the animal's reported vampirism. The Chupacabra is said to attack and drink the blood of livestock, including goats. Physical descriptions of the creature vary, with some describing it as more dog-like, while others describe it as a reptilian and alien-like thing. Some report it as being a heavy creature the size of a small bear with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail. Now, after some extensive research on this creature, I couldn't actually find any reported attacks on humans. So it seems that this bloodthirsty villain is truly only interested in animals. That being said, there were some instances where people had seen this creature, tried to stop it, and it looked as if it was preparing to attack them. Like most vicious animals, it's probably most interested in its food, but it's gonna defend itself to the last ounce of its energy if it has to. Therefore, El Chupacabra is truly only super dangerous to farmers of livestock. If you happen to be a farmer of said livestock, then having some sort of mechanism to keep out this vampiric demon lizard is of critical importance, or else it will completely decimate your animals. It's definitely better that you invest in some serious fencing, because trying to stop it by yourself, it could prove very dangerous. Number 3 on this list is the Encantados. The Encantados are a group of multiple demon creatures that reside underwater. They are extremely dangerous and have reportedly been responsible for several human disappearances. The thing about Encantados is that they're very curious about humans, and you may have no idea that you're dealing with one for a long time. Mental Floss says the Encantado is a dolphin, but one with evil powers. Encantado means enchanted one in Portuguese and refers to a special kind of boto, or long-beaked river dolphin native to the Amazon, that can take human form. Encantados are curious about humans and are especially attracted to big, noisy festivals, which they often attend as musicians, staying in human form for years. How can you recognize one? Look under its hat. They always have bald spots that are actually disguised blowholes. Encantados are usually friendly, but they occasionally hypnotize and kidnap young women and take them back to the Encante, their underground city. Sometimes the women escape and return pregnant with an Encantado baby. So they seem really nice and good right up until they decide to kidnap you and take you to their underground city, where any number of things could happen. Most of the people who are taken there never return, and As they said, the ones that do have another passenger coming along for the ride. The origin of Encantados are not 100% confirmed, but it seems that many people think that it was a small village that was cursed to live underwater for a long time. Now they reside there except for the few times that they take the surface disguised as humans to see what we're up to and to take a few of us back to their evil lair. Number 2 on this list is El Cebon. El Cebon, also known as the Whistler, is a demon that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. This is a mistake though, and frankly we need to be talking and educating more about this demon and how dangerous it can be. The Spanish language blog says, according to a legend often told in the rural parts of Venezuela, El Cebon is the last soul of a young man who one day killed his own father in revenge because he murdered his son's girlfriend as he didn't approve of their relationship. After he killed his father, the young man's grandfather took it upon himself to punish him by tying him to a tree and beating him with a whip until he bled. Then he condemned him to carry his father's remains in a sack on his back. As the boy walked away into the plains, his grandfather yelled at him, "You shall not do that to your father, you are damned for all eternity," and then set his rabid dogs after him. It's said that the boy's spirit brings death and destruction to anyone who comes across him. His ghost is described as an extremely tall and skinny man who wears a farming hat and whistles the notes do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. He's very tricky while deceiving his victims. When his whistling is heard up close, he's actually far away, but when he's heard from afar, you better start running because he's actually nearby. So first off, that initial family is freaking messed up, dude. Your dad kills your girlfriend, so then you kill your dad, but then your grandfather beats you, forces you to carry around your dead dad, and then sends dogs after you. Like, what the heck? Aside from the family being absolutely bonkers, this demon is also kinda nuts as well. I get serious Batman Joker vibes from the creepy whistle that he does there to indicate that he's coming to get his victims. The way he kills his victims is said to be very graphic as well, and he won't have you die slowly. It will be a long and drawn out process of torture that will have you begging for death. Nobody really knows how to defend yourself against this demon either. Fighting it one-on-one just simply won't work and you're gonna lose. You just need to pay very close attention to the whistle, and if you do ever hear it, don't second guess anything, just take off and don't look back. Hope that he loses interest in you and moves on to something else. Just a terrifying demon who you need to avoid at all costs. And finally, number 1 on this list is Saint La Merte. So Saint La Merte is one of the most famous on this list, and I can promise you that you definitely do not want to run into this one. Saint La Merte is your typical personification of death in South America. It is a male figure that's dressed in a hooded cloak holding a very sharp and very menacing scythe that is sometimes referred to as Saint Death. Saint Death, or just death if you will, brings one thing alone, and it's not a welcome gift. No, as you would expect, it's death. And this demonic personification of death is said to be pretty inherently evil as well. There are many followers that look up to Saint Death and praise him. The biggest following for him is in Argentina and the country surrounding Argentina. Saint Death is said to reward his followers by helping them on their evil ventures. Let's say that you're a dangerous murderer, but you're also a strong supporter of Saint Death. Well, if Saint Death likes you, then he'll use his powers that he has to have you evade the law or even assist you in killing people. He grants numerous requests that are all connected to crime and violence and is basically the guardian angel for the evil criminals of the world. Saint La Merte also acknowledges those who do not devote a part of their lives to him, and it's not the type of acknowledgement that you'd want. He will often kill those who disrespect him and don't support him. This is part of the reason why he has such a strong and stable following, and many people are constantly praising him and his abilities. If you ever see this demon confront you, then there's most likely nothing you can do at all. That will be the last thing that you ever see and your last moment ever spent on Earth. Number 5 on this list is the demon spirit of Hans Trapp. Back in the 1400s in France, there lived a very powerful and rich man named Hans Trapp. Hans was extremely well off and had quite a lot of influence in the region he was living in. This wasn't enough for him though, he wanted more. Described by others as being extremely greedy and merciless, Trapp started engaging in some very questionable methods to grow his fortune. In fact, it's reported that Trapp went so far as to make some deals with the devil. Once this reached the ears of the church, they very swiftly excommunicated Hans Trapp and sent him away from their lands, confiscating all of his property and wealth along with it. Embarrassed and stripped of all of his power, Hans was furious at the church. He made his way into the mountains, where he built an extremely makeshift home out of the materials that he had available to him. It was in this self-made den that he stewed and brooded. His anger and frustration cooked, and it bubbled to a point where Hans Trapp could be described as being completely evil. Right around this period of time as well is when his mind started to go, or at least that's what people assume, because what he does next is not something that any sane person would do. Hans Trapp gathers up straw from around his home and makes himself into a scarecrow. Then on Christmas, he waited on an abandoned road for travelers to stumble upon him. Sadly, it was a 10-year-old boy who walked past him first. Hans Trapp stabbed the boy to death and then took his body and dragged it back to his home. It was there that he cut up the body and turned it into a meal as a way of praising Satan. It's said that before he could eat it though, God struck Hans Trapp with a bolt of lightning for being so abhorrently evil and sent him straight to hell. Good riddance, God. However, now on Christmas, the demonic spirit of Hans Trapp breaks out of hell and will hunt for children who haven't been good. If a child has been bad, then he will find them as his scarecrow self. Basically, he will be summoned, but he will only be summoned to you if you've been bad this past year. So be good, and you should be safe. Number 4 on this list is the Karakonkalos. Now this creature is known to some to be the Christmas Bigfoot and lives in Turkey. It only appears during the Christmas holidays, and there is actually nothing that you can do to stop it. That's right, you actually have no ability to summon or unsummon this beast. However, you do have a say in whether or not it chooses to kill you. If you happen to be walking on the streets of Turkey during the Christmas holidays, then there is the potential for you to run into this creature. Now it's important to not freak out, however that's easier said than done, because this demon is pretty scary. It is a very large, hairy creature that reminds a lot of people of Bigfoot, but with potentially a little bit more ogre-esque qualities to it. Even though this creature may appear as just a brute on the surface, it's actually very intelligent, and if you run into it, it will want to ask you a riddle. Now you have to answer this riddle. If you walk away, the demon will most likely take serious offense and make you pay with your life. The riddle itself is very dangerous too though, because your answer must include the word black. If it does not include this word, then you will be killed right where you stand. You also need to make sure that you get the answer to the actual riddle correct, because a wrong answer could cost you your life as well. Sadly, this creature is difficult to avoid. Sometimes it takes a more tactful approach in getting your attention, waiting outside your home and mimicking the voice of someone you know until you come out and you have to play with it. One way it will occasionally kill you as well is by immediately paralyzing your body in a trance. It's said that it has the capability and then it will put you into a deep trance and leave you outside so that you will just freeze to death. The entire time though during this trance, your brain is cognizant as well, and you will have to be conscious as you slowly die. Maybe just avoid trips to Turkey during Christmas time, folks. Number 3 on this list is the Grither. Now this is a demon that had its origins actually come from a television series called Tales from the Dark Side. This was a horror television show in the mid-80s that gained a decent following. The Grither is said to be a demon that lives very close to Santa Claus. Separated from Santa's workshop by a mountain, the Grither lives alone in an abandoned ship. This ship would have been an old exploratory ship used by sailors several decades ago when they were searching the Arctic. They clearly lost their sense of direction though, and all eventually died from starvation or the cold. The Grither now calls this boat its home, which is slightly strange because it actually hates getting wet. Its appearance is pretty disgusting. It has long, slimy arms with massive demon-like hands and huge veins just pumping what looks to be this bluish sludge through its body. It's described in the show as being the most dangerous creature in the world. Lucky for us, this dangerous creature lives in the deep Arctic. However, there is a way for you to summon it. Even more than getting wet, the Grither hates its name most of all. Apparently, every time you say its name, its ears will grow. This continues until they're big enough to act as wings wings, and the Grither will fly out from the Arctic and come after the person who's been saying its name. Now this is not something that you want to do though, because it won't be too pleased when it finds you, and taking this thing on in a fight probably will not end well. Now nobody has any idea how many times you have to say this thing's name before its ears grow large enough to come after you, but I think in this segment I probably said it like 5 or 6 times now, so probably a good time to transition, guys. Number 2 on this list is Frau Perchta. Frau Perchta is a Christmas time demon witch creature in southern Germany and Austria. She has an iron nose that is in the shape of a beak. Her clothes are all beaten up old rags, and she carries around a cane. That's not the only thing that she carries around though, because she also has a very sharp knife hiding beneath those grotesque rags that she wears. Frau Perchta is especially dangerous to the individual of the house who does the spinning. Now when I say spinning, I'm not referring to like a bicycle spinning, I'm referring to the action of weaving clothes. Yeah, this is an ancient legend, and it's said that this demon, Frau Perchta, is very specific about how she wants this spinning done. If you haven't completed your spinning by the correct date, which many people believe to be January 6th when the Christmas season finishes, then she will come for you. Now the severity of what she does will be determined by you and how much you have or have not accomplished. If all of your spinning is done, then you're safe and your home won't warrant a visit. If only half of it is done though, then you can expect the things that you haven't already spun to be lit on fire, which could then in turn cause your entire house to burn down. Now that's pretty bad, but listen to this. If you haven't spun everything that you need to, and when she gets to your house is a mess, dishes aren't done, floor isn't vacuumed, whatever it may be, well that's when she gets the knife. The legend says that if Frau Perchta isn't satisfied with the state of your home, then she will come into your room while you are asleep and disembowel you with her knife. She will take all of your innards, throw them around your room, and fill your dead body back up with rocks and sticks. I mean, not that the rocks and sticks matter to you at this point, your whole freaking organs are all over the floor, but it's still pretty bad. Either way, if you're living in Germany or Austria, I highly recommend bringing out the Swiffer and getting to work, because if you don't, you may just summon Frau Perchta. Number 1 on this list is the Stragel. Now this is a kind of add-on to the last entry of Frau Perchta, but also different in its own right. Frau Perchta, when she's flying around the region checking the homes for their cleanliness and spinning, will often be accompanied by a group of demonic assistants. If Santa has his kind-looking elves, then this is Frau Perchta's version of that, but really evil. These demons look like devilish wildebeests. They have long hair all over their bodies, run on 2 legs, long sharp horns coming from the crown of their head. Their faces are big and red and accentuate their large teeth that they have. These creatures aren't as concerned with the cleanliness of your home though. They have their own evil mission to uphold during Christmas time. It is said that as these demons traverse the region with Frau Perchta, they are looking for children who were bad. Now everyone's heard the story about Santa Claus bringing you coal if you were bad this year instead of presents, but these beasts bring something far worse: death. If they stumble upon a home that has a bad child in it, which they're capable of sensing, then they will go into that home and tear the child from their family. They will then proceed to brutally rip apart the body of this as a form of punishment for being bad this year. It is said that some parents can try and stop this from happening by leaving a meal on the front step. If these demons are satisfied with this meal, then they may leave that child alone for this year, but if they aren't, then they will break into the home and complete their mission. Similar to Frau Perchta, these demons can be avoided though. It's up to you as a child to be good all year, not only so Santa can bring you presents, but so these demonic beasts of the night don't come into your home and feast on your flesh. That's kind of the main reason, I would say.
Coming in at number 5, we've got Aaron Layton. Authors tend to be a reclusive sort. So many tales exist detailing a storyteller's retreat to the wilderness to find peace so that they can pen their next great work. Someday, that'll be me, and you'll never hear from me again. But until then, I'll just look at others and their foolhardy demon dealings. See, being alone in the woods tends to also inspire people to look deep within and find out what they truly desire. Without the distractions of modern life, other people, and a strong Wi-Fi connection, folks have to face down plenty of hard truths. If these truths are difficult enough, or if their dreams are big enough, they might be tempted to strike up a deal with the demon. I'm not sure if Aaron Layton had actually done this or not, but his children's book seems to imply that he's an expert in this field. He wrote a book called A Children's Book of Demons, and inside are a bunch of fun and funky illustrations detailing demons the world over. Accompanying these illustrations is plenty of prose, encouraging children to be creative perspective while dealing with their problems. It's kind of an edgy concept for a kid's book, but nothing too insane. However, it got lots of attention upon being published, drawing the ire of exorcists, religious leaders, and uptight parents everywhere. The book encourages readers to imagine demons, draw sigils, and attempt to use these strategies to assist them in their daily life, like a kid's Bible storybook, but more in line with Satanism. Most would look on and get a good chuckle out of this, but the previously mentioned folks condemned the tome, claiming that it would imbue the children with evil energies and ruin their lives. This leads me to assume two things. One, Aaron Layton knows enough about demons and Satanism to write a book that will offend people, and in his studies might have summoned one or two. Maybe they helped him write it. And two, some of the parents who ended up buying this book for their kids actually witnessed some demonic activity. Nobody would be getting so up in arms about something totally harmless, so there must be at least a little bit of power here. I wonder what the kids use their demons for. Maybe acing a spelling bee or getting extra helpings for dessert. Number 4, Charlie. Staying on the topic of children summoning demons for a moment, let's discuss this viral smash hit of a demon summoning trend. Remember when this was all anyone was talking about? Oh boy. Part Bloody Mary, part Ouija, and part internet challenge, Charlie took the Western world by storm. It kind of inspired its own miniature satanic panic as concerned parents and news organizations rushed to understand the appeal of the game. In fact, I bet it would have all blown over much more quickly if folks just calmed down a little. But kids and teens across the nation were playing this game and supposedly successfully summoning a demon. Charlie, if you couldn't tell. The game works like this. Set up a little 2x2 grid and a piece of paper, writing yes and no in each of the squares. Once this is ready, balance 2 pencils perpendicularly atop each other so that one can sort of spin freely. Now you're ready to play. Chant Charlie and ask some questions. Apparently if the top pencil moves, that means Charlie is present. Is he good? Is he bad? Who knows? But a lot of folks took advantage of this interesting stationary-based phenomenon and claimed that they had managed to summon real demons. After asking some particularly salacious questions, they got answers they didn't like and began freaking out. Did this really hurt anyone? It's questionable, but like I said before, it inspired a whole lot of new coverage and panic amongst the morally upright who believed that the kid would encourage their kids to take their paranormal investigations a step further. It's been a while since someone went viral for playing Charlie, and I can't say that I've seen any major new updates concerning folks who supposedly summon demons. So maybe it was a temporary visit, one without lasting effects, but who knows? Somebody test it out for me, alright? Let me know if Charlie's still kicking and what he offers in exchange for a soul. Coming in at number 3, we've got Robert Johnson. A classic tale is that of the Faustian deal. Somebody wants something so bad that they're willing to give up their soul for it. Success in life, and then an eternity of servitude to a dark force in the afterlife. Worth it. Robert Johnson decided he wanted to be the ultimate blues guitarist and would give anything to make that happen. Some say that he sold his soul to the devil for the skills required. When he played, his talent was so impressive that much of his audience had no choice but to believe it was acquired through paranormal means. I'm sure that did a lot for his ego. Looking into this story, it's said that he met a devil at a Crossroads and Satan tuned his guitar for him. Tenacious D who. The devil went on to teach Johnson how to master the blues, which was the prevalent guitar genre at the time, and from then on he was a genius on the fretboard. No one could keep up with him, and he impressed countless listeners. However, he was met with an unfortunate fate, which only served to intensify the rumors about his skill. At the young age of 27, he passed away with foul play suspected. By that time, though, he had produced 6 studio records and thrilled folks across America. If your legacy lives on for ages like his, is that a fair trade-off for an early death? We can't ask Johnson himself, but I'm sure he'd have a strong opinion on that one. Coming in at number 2, we've got Sid White. Originally interested in witchcraft, Sid gradually became aware of and enamored with demons. Believing that a demon is an entity that has wandered our earth for ages, possibly even for eternity, he has supposedly summoned demons on multiple occasions. The rituals remain largely the same across the board, but small changes can affect what demon you'll summon. Write this down. You'll need a dark room, candles, herbs, a Ouija board, and blood. All pretty easily attainable, don't you think? Especially that blood bit. You're full of it. From there, you need to know a specific spell or chant, especially if you're looking for a specific demon. Knowing what you're getting into is pretty important too, because if you're summoning demons willy-nilly, you're gonna have a bad time. A lot of people choose to summon demons to strengthen their connection with another world. This allows those who do so to draw increased strength and insight and hopefully improve their life some. However, Sid refuses to talk about what happens once he summons a demon. That's his private time, apparently. I mean, there are a lot of things people do behind closed doors that they probably don't want to discuss with the world at large. I pulled a lot of this info from an interesting article on Vice, and I'm sure Sid didn't want all the Vice readers to know his secrets. Check out the article if you want some more insight though. It'll be in the description. Coming in at number 1, we've got Niccolo Paganini, another masterful musician making morbid arrangements under cover of dark. Paganini was well known for being able to do things no other musicians could even dream of. As a child, he was a wunderkind, quickly picking up and becoming proficient in all sorts of different musical instruments. Being a child prodigy comes with a lot of pressure though, I'm sure. By the time he was a teenager, he was an alcoholic. However, he managed to overcome this, and in his early 20s, he became a well-regarded star, composing complicated and popular pieces of music and performing all over Europe. Some of the stuff he composed, nobody else could even attempt to play for years. He could play 3 octaves across 4 strings in one hand on the violin, and won a Stradivarius for sight reading a supposedly impossible piece. One of his most famous compositions was called Witch's Dance, which raised even more eyebrows. So maybe in his darkest hours of alcoholism, he reached out to a higher or lower power and asked for power beyond his wildest dreams. Either that, or he decided to get it together. He supposedly had really long fingers too, which may have helped with his incredible musicality. Striking up deals, looking for power, and wondering what might be on the other side. All good reasons to summon a demon, but also maybe not great reasons. But hey, it's your life.
Coming in at number 5, we have the Ferryman. The Ferryman is an antagonist in the Conjuring franchise, specifically appearing in the 2019 film Annabelle Comes Home. Directed by Gary Doberman, the movie follows Judy and her babysitter who were left alone in their house after her parents, Ed and Lorraine Warren, leave to investigate a case. However, an unexpected guest sets Annabelle free, unleashing demonic activity in the house. Now, some backstory to this new character. The Ferryman was first investigated by demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren after the death of a young girl by its hands. They interviewed those affected by the demon, who told them that the Ferryman demanded a toll, or else it would take the souls of the departed. Ed and Lorraine were able to collect coins from corpses that were cursed by the entity, and had them blessed and locked away in their museum. However, in Annabelle Comes Home, things take a turn for the worse when the Warrens' daughter accidentally sets a demon loose, drawing energy and bringing the Ferryman and other spirits to its aid. And honestly, the Ferryman is just downright terrifying. Coming in at number 4, Annabelle. Annabelle the doll, or more specifically the Annabelle demon, is the secondary antagonist of the Conjuring franchise, and also serves as the main antagonist of Annabelle, Annabelle Creation, and Annabelle Comes Home. This is a powerful demonic entity that, despite being able to exist independent, frequently latches onto a porcelain doll to torment those who own it. It is also one of the artifacts taken by Ed and Lorraine Warren during one of their cases. Annabelle is actually considered to be their most dangerous and haunted item, and has a habit of moving around unseen. According to the films, it is said that the doll first became possessed after a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins died from an intended murder. Although she is said to possess the spirit of an actual girl, many demonologists think that it is, in fact, more of an evil spirit than a demon. Annabelle is unbelievably scary, but what is worse is the demon that follows it around. Now, its true demonic form was portrayed by Joseph Becerra, who also portrayed Bathsheba, someone we're going to discuss a little later on. Outside of the Conjuring universe, Annabelle is also mentioned in The Curse of La Llorona. When Ana Tate Garcia goes to ask advice from Father Perez on how to rid her family of La Llorona's curse, he explains that he previously did not believe in the supernatural until he had a run-in with a doll. The movie then flashes back to Annabelle's attack on him. So is The Curse of La Llorona also in the Conjuring universe? That's my question. Am I late to the game? Does everyone know this? I don't know, I don't care. Coming in at number 3, we have the Crooked Man. To quote the lyrics to this creepy nursery rhyme, "There was a crooked man, and he walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence upon a crooked stile. He bought a crooked cat, which caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a little crooked house." It's my favourite song. The Crooked Man appears in The Conjuring 2 along with another notable demon that we will be discussing a little later on. He is the spirit from the eponymous English nursery rhyme and is a maniacal, lanky, crooked man who torments the young son of the Hodgson's family. The Crooked Man is also an upcoming horror movie and the 9th installment in the Conjuring universe. In September 2018, it was announced that the movie was in the scripting process and that the studio intends to wait until the story is fully developed before production will begin. And honestly, I for one cannot wait, because The Crooked Man was arguably the best part of The Conjuring 2. Quote me on that. Coming in at number 2, Bathsheba. Bathsheba Sherman is the main antagonist of The Conjuring, which is loosely based on the true story of the haunting in Harrisville, Rhode Island. She is the evil spectre of an 1800s devil worshipper and witch. An interesting fact before we begin, despite being a female, she was portrayed by Joseph Becerra, who also played the lipstick-faced demon in Insidious and the demon in the prequel film Annabelle. Bathsheba is a malevolent, sadistic, and murderous demon who haunts the Perron household. She is bloodthirsty, unsympathetic, remorseless, and uncaring or cruel. Along the way, she possesses the mother of the Perron family, turning her against her family and her children. She is vengeful, targeting any family that would take her land, and also the Warrens who attempted to investigate the land, leading to Bathsheba attempting to murder their daughter. Prior to haunting the Perron family, she was an enthusiastic and fanatical follower of Satanism, which led her to sacrifice her own child to Satan and was willing to die for his beliefs. To quote Carolyn and Lorraine in The Conjuring, "How could a mother kill her own child? It was never a child to her. She just used her God-given gift as the ultimate offense against him." Bathsheba claps, stabs, and screams, making her one of the scariest villains in the Conjuring universe. And finally, coming in at number 1, Valak the Nun. To quote Lorraine Warren in The Conjuring 2, "Your name gives me dominion over you, demon, and I do know your name. You are Valak the Defiler, the Profane, the Marquis of Snakes. In the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, I condemn you back to hell." Valak is the main antagonist of the Conjuring franchise, first appearing as the main antagonist in The Conjuring 2 back in 2016. The film was directed by James Wan and follows Ed and Lorraine Warren as they travel to Britain to assist the Hodgson's family, who are experiencing poltergeist activity at their Enfield council house in 1977, which later became referred to as the Enfield poltergeist, in real life that is. Now, Valak is absolutely horrific and is a very wicked, ruthless, sadistic, cold, and completely despicable demon who appears in the form of a nun. The demon begins to haunt and terrify the Hodgson's family just for its own twisted pleasure. In turn, Valak is feared by the nuns of the Abbey of St. Carter in Romania. It is spiritually oppressive, taunting Lorraine about her faith. On top of that, Valak is shown to be intelligent, calculated, well organized, and a good mastermind, being able to disguise itself as a nun to not be noticed. Valak has also worked alongside other demons, including Annabelle's spirit. In mythology, Valak is known as the Great President of Hell, with over 30 legions at its command. The demon often manifests as an angelically winged boy riding a two-headed dragon, and it possesses the power to find treasures. In the case of the film, Valak's treasure was the vision of Ed Warren being impaled, which it offered to his wife Lorraine as a gift. So sweet.